Both the spatial contiguity and temporal contiguity principles are related to the way we present learning material. The spatial contiguity principle focuses on layout, while the temporal contiguity principle focuses on timing. Before we go on, it helps to understand how learning happens in a bit more detail. If you've already seen the video on the temporal contiguity principle, you can jump to the 1 minute and 38-second mark in this video, or click on the bookmark below to skip ahead. So far, I've used this illustration to represent how learners receive information through our visual and auditory channels, and how we should reduce cognitive overload by cutting out extraneous visual and auditory content. In the video on the redundancy principle, which you can watch here if you haven't seen it yet, or click on the link in the description down below, we also looked at how things can add to cognitive processing, such as the need to understand materials in a second language. But let's look at learning more closely. When we're presented with new information, we store it in our working memory. This is part of essential cognitive processing, which is the initial stage of learning. At this stage, the new information doesn't make sense to us yet. They're still isolated bits of images, dates, keywords, and ideas. For learning to happen, we need to do additional cognitive processing to make sense of this information. But our working memory is limited in how much information it can contain and process at any given time, and any additional cognitive work we have to do, however minor it may seem, will make it more difficult for us to learn. With that in mind, let's talk about the spatial contiguity principle. Unlike some of the other principles where we've discussed how to strike a balance between the visual and auditory channel, the spatial contiguity principle focuses on the visual channel, where learners are presented only with images and text, for example, in a textbook or handout, or a self-paced learning module without narration. The spatial contiguity principle builds on what other researchers have called the split attention principle, which is to avoid requiring learners to split their attention between different sources of information because this additional cognitive work drains from our working memory. Studies have shown that our brain does not capture everything like a video recorder. Instead, our attention selectively focuses on specific things. In fact, our attention can be so selective that we can completely miss things that are right in front of us. In a famous study by Christopher Chabris and Daniel Simons, participants were shown a video of 6 people passing a basketball to one another. They were asked to count the number of times the ball was passed by someone in a white shirt. Unbeknownst to the participants, someone in a gorilla suit walks in partway through the video, looks at the camera, thumps his chest, and walks out. After viewing the video, over half of participants did not notice the gorilla and did not believe they would have missed it. This study provided an extreme example of how easy it is for us to miss something right in front of us because our attention has been split. The spatial contiguity principle is a way to remove split attention from our learning materials. Spatial contiguity refers to the distance of the explanatory text from the related image. If you have explanatory text below the image or even on a separate page, then the learner has to look at the image, then at the text and back of the image, creating additional cognitive processing. Although not as extreme as the gorilla video, this still splits the learner's attention. A better way to present this is to integrate the text with the image. Although this seems like a minor change, studies show that materials that follow the spatial contiguity principle yielded significant improvements in learning transfer. This is especially true if the material is complicated, the image cannot be understood without the text, or if the learner is unfamiliar with the material. Additional studies also show that learners benefit from being asked to create their own integrated presentations, for example by asking them to place descriptions to each step of the process they are learning about. Although the spatial contiguity principle seems obvious, it's often neglected when you find ready-made materials either online or in a textbook that are poorly designed. Given the clear benefits of the spatial contiguity principle, it is worth taking the time to improve on these materials whenever you can. So next time you're looking for instructional materials, or designing your own, or even writing a paper where you want to include something visual, make sure the text is close to the image so it's easier for your audiences to follow.